There is a moment almost every single day when your mind lies to you. Not a big lie, not the kind you'd notice. A small one, so small that you accept it instantly, without question, and move on with your life completely unaware that you were just deceived by the very organ you trust the most. Here's the strange part. You don't even need a reason to believe it. Your brain doesn't wait for evidence. It just decides, and then it goes looking for proof afterward. Think about it. Have you ever met someone new and instantly felt like you liked them, or instantly felt like something was off before they'd said more than a few words? That feeling arrived before your thinking did. And yet you trusted it completely. That's the trick. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Psychologists have a name for this pattern, but the name isn't the interesting part. The interesting part is what it reveals about how little control you actually have over your own certainty. You believe you reason your way to conclusions. In reality, most of the time, you feel your way there first, and your reasoning shows up later just to defend what you already decided. Imagine you're scrolling through your phone late at night. You come across a post that confirms something you already suspected about a friend, a partner, a coworker. Instantly, something in you relaxes, not because you learned something new, because you were right. And being right, to your brain, feels almost as good as being safe. This is where it gets fascinating. Your brain isn't actually built to find truth. It's built to protect a story. And the story it protects hardest is the one about who you are. Here's what nobody talks about. From the moment you wake up, your mind is running a kind of background program, constantly filtering everything you see, hear, and remember, searching for anything that fits the version of the world you already believe in. Psychologists call this confirmation bias, but that phrase makes it sound like a flaw in your logic. It isn't. It's a survival mechanism. Thousands of years ago, hesitation could kill you. A rustle in the grass didn't give you time to weigh evidence. You needed to decide fast, and being fast mattered more than being right. So your brain evolved to jump to conclusions and defend them fiercely. The problem is that same wiring, built for lions and cliffs and darkness, is now running your opinions about politics, relationships, money, and yourself. Now here's the twist. It's not just information your brain filters. It's memory itself. Have you noticed how two people can remember the exact same argument completely differently? Not lying, not manipulating, genuinely remembering it differently. That's because memory isn't a recording. It's a reconstruction. Every time you recall something, your brain rebuilds it. And it rebuilds it in a way that fits what you already believe about yourself and the people around you. If you believe you're the reasonable one in your relationships, your memory will quietly edit the version of events where you weren't. If you believe you were wronged, your brain will preserve every detail that supports that story and soften the ones that don't. This isn't deception in the way we usually think of it. There's no villain here. Just the mind trying to keep its story consistent, because an inconsistent story feels unbearable. Researchers who study this describe something called cognitive dissonance, the deep discomfort you feel when two beliefs you hold contradict each other. And your brain hates that discomfort so much, it will change what it remembers, what it notices, even what it feels, just to make the contradiction disappear. Think about the last time you made a decision you weren't fully sure about. Maybe a purchase you couldn't really afford. Maybe staying somewhere you knew wasn't right for you. Did you notice what happened afterward? You didn't second-guess it. You defended it. You found reasons it was actually smart. That wasn't logic. That was your brain protecting itself from the discomfort of admitting a mistake. Here's where it becomes even more personal. This same mechanism is quietly shaping your identity right now without asking your permission. Every belief you hold about yourself, smart, awkward, unlovable, resilient, broken, capable, was built the same way. Not through careful analysis, through repetition, Through moments your brain chose to remember because they confirmed something, and moments it quietly let fade because they didn't fit. If you were told as a child that you were the sensitive one, some part of you may have spent years unconsciously collecting evidence for that label, while dismissing every moment you were actually strong, because strong didn't match the story. That's not a coincidence. That's your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for self-concept and planning, working alongside deeper emotional circuitry to keep your identity feeling stable. Stability feels safe. Even when the story is painful, familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar change. But wait, it gets even stranger. Your brain doesn't just protect your beliefs about yourself. It protects your beliefs about the future. And it does this through something psychologists call the optimism bias, or in some cases, its opposite. Some people wake up every day quietly convinced that things will generally work out, even when evidence says otherwise. Others wake up convinced things will fall apart, even when evidence says otherwise. Both are running the same trick, selectively gathering proof, rejecting the rest. The difference isn't intelligence. It's which story their mind decided to protect first, often years ago, often for reasons they don't consciously remember. Now here's something that might explain a pattern in your own life you've never quite understood. Why do certain feelings, like rejection or shame or falling short, seem to hit you disproportionately hard compared to other people? One possible explanation lies in the amygdala, the brain's alarm system. For some people, especially those who experienced inconsistency or unpredictability early in life, the amygdala becomes more reactive. It doesn't just respond to real danger. It responds to anything that resembles old danger. A certain tone of voice, a slight delay in a reply, a look that reminds you, somewhere beneath conscious thought, of being dismissed before. Your brain isn't overreacting randomly. It's pattern matching against your history, trying to protect you from something that already hurt you once. This is why two people can experience the exact same comment, and one shrugs it off while the other feels it for days. It was never really about the comment. It was about which old story it accidentally touched. Here's the deeper meaning underneath all of this. You have spent your entire life assuming your perception is neutral, that you simply see things as they are. But your mind isn't a camera. It's an editor. It's constantly choosing what makes the final cut, and it makes those choices based on what protects your sense of identity, safety, and consistency. This is both unsettling and, strangely, freeing. Unsettling because it means many of your strongest convictions about yourself, about others, about how things always go for you, were never fully accurate. They were curated. Freeing, because if your mind built these stories once, through repetition and selective memory, it can rebuild new ones the same way. This is where dopamine enters the picture, not in the way most people think. Dopamine isn't just about pleasure. It's about anticipation, about the brain's prediction system. Every time reality confirms what you expected, your brain releases a small hit of dopamine, essentially rewarding you for being right. That reward reinforces the belief, making you more likely to notice the same pattern next time and less likely to notice anything that contradicts it. Which means the more certain you feel about something, the less likely you are to actually be evaluating it fairly. Certainty isn't proof of truth. Certainty is often proof of repetition. Have you ever changed your mind about someone completely after spending time around people who saw them differently? That's not because new facts appeared out of nowhere. It's because your filter changed. Someone else's confidence in a different story gave your brain permission to notice things it had been quietly ignoring. This is also why the people you surround yourself with matter more than most people realize. Mirror neurons, the brain cells responsible for empathy and social learning, don't just help you understand others. They help you absorb their certainty. If you spend enough time around people convinced the world is hostile, your filter shifts toward threat. If you spend enough time around people convinced growth is possible, your filter shifts toward possibility. Neither is more logical. Both are constructed the same way. So here's the perspective shift. You are not a passive witness to your own life. You are, in a very real sense, the editor of it, whether you realize this or not. Every day, your mind is quietly deciding what counts as evidence for who you are and what your life is like. The question was never whether your mind would build a story. It always does. The real question is whether you've ever stopped to ask if the story it built is actually true or just familiar. Most people never ask that question. They live entirely inside a narrative their mind assembled years ago, defending it, reinforcing it, mistaking its consistency for its accuracy. But you're not most people. Not anymore. Because now you know the trick. You know that certainty can be manufactured by repetition rather than truth. You know that memory bends to protect identity. You know that your amygdala might be reacting to a ghost from years ago instead of anything actually happening right now. And once you know the trick, you get to ask a different question. Not what do I believe, but why do I believe it? And is it actually still true? That single question, asked honestly, quietly, without judgment, is often the beginning of real change. Not dramatic change, not a sudden transformation. Just a small crack in a story that had gone unquestioned for far too long. And sometimes, that small crack is exactly where new light gets in. Which brings us to something even more unsettling than what we've covered so far. Because if your mind can quietly rewrite memory to protect your identity, what does that mean for the moments you're most convinced you remember perfectly? The moments you'd swear under oath happened exactly the way you recall? That's where we're going next. Because the truth about memory might be the most uncomfortable trick your mind plays on you yet.